Skimming with History, a Sandersides fanfiction, written and read by Love Living My Dreams. Sleepover. The atmosphere when they entered the house was more awkward than Roman had planned for. As the host, he felt the need to turn things around. Danny, he called out, trying to give Virgil some space. He was going to follow his lead in this situation. If Virgil wanted to talk, he would do so on his own time. If he wanted to pretend that piece of personal history hadn't been shared, then that was fine too. First things first, getting set up in his room. Roman, Mr. Sanders, I trust the competition went well? Danny greeted as he entered the hallway with a smile, much more casual than he would if Roman's parents were home. Virgil absolutely crushed it. And the other guys were okay too, I guess. Roman grinned, already in better spirits as he recalled the grin on Virgil's face when he saw them celebrating their winnings. He knew that Virgil mainly wanted to enjoy swimming, but he cared about his team and wanted his teammates to do well, and he wanted to do well for them. And that was why he was an awesome team captain in Roman's opinion. Behind Roman, said stellar captain chuckled a bit awkwardly. He glanced back and noticed to his delight that his guest was blushing as he rubbed the back of his neck. It really was a team effort. I wouldn't have made it at first relay if Quinn hadn't rocked the first round. He was like 3 seconds ahead of the next guy, I swear, he insisted, proud of his teammate. But in the second relay, the team wouldn't have even made it to bronze if you hadn't made up the difference. Never mind silver. You moved up 2 entire spots all by yourself, Roman insisted. And you can't credit anyone but yourself for your solo wins. You did great across the board, he pointed out, giving the athlete a punch in the shoulder. Take the credit, man. Your team was pretty much ready to carry you out in celebration. But I guess they'll leave that for when you guys become state champions, huh? Virgil chuckled again and gave Roman a punch in the arm back. Shut up. You'll jinx it. You don't see me shouting Macbeth in the theater before the premiere, do you? He scolded. Roman just grinned at him, happy he got him to laugh again. Danny, can you please bring Virgil's bag to my room? I'd like to give him a tour of the house before we head over there and Roman hesitated on his next request. Danny still knew what he wanted though. Marcia suggested serving dinner in your room. Are hamburgers and fries to the young gentleman's tastes? He asked with a little bow and playful smile. Sounds great, Virgil grinned. Thanks, man. It is my pleasure. And my job. Danny winked as he reached for the bag Virgil had slung over his shoulder. Oh, you were serious about that. It's fine, it's just an overnight bag, really, Virgil protested a little nervously. Then it truly is no trouble. Besides, as you well know, women can get carried away quite easily. You will be glad you didn't carry your bag, however light, around for the whole tour, Danny insisted, still holding out his hand in anticipation. Virgil looked to Rowan, expecting support for some reason. Don't look at me, Roman shrugged. Just let yourself be treated like a guest in a mansion for a bit, Virgil. This is nothing compared to the service you'll get during the modeling retreat, he warned. Virgil pursed his lips and then reluctantly handed the bag over to Danny. Many thanks. You boys enjoy yourselves today. If you need anything, I'm but a call away. Other than that, I'll leave you both to it, the butler promised before he headed up the stairs. So, a tour? Virgil wondered. Roman nodded. Yeah, I mean, I got to look all around at your place. I didn't get an official tour, but still, least I can do is show you the good stuff before we go hide away in my room, Roman reasoned. Virgil nodded. Sure, lead the way. The tour took a little longer than Roman had anticipated. He did get a bit carried away, showing all his favorite spots in the garden and the places he used to hide away in during hide and seek when he was little and his cousins came over. And sometimes when he'd play with his parents or a staff member he managed to convince. Virgil chuckled at Roman's ramblings about childhood memories, and looked impressed with the setup in the entertainment room. And last, but not least, my room, Roman announced as he opened the door. Virgil's bag was waiting on Roman's bed. We have a guest room if you want, or we can lay out those mats and blankets and camp on the floor. I wasn't sure what you prefer after the contest, Roman offered. I'll take the floor, but you can take the bed, Roman, Virgil offered. Roman shook his head. If you are okay with sleeping in here, then I want a proper sleepover. You are not ruining this for me, Virg, he insisted with a wink. Virgil chuckled. Well, if you say it like that, can we use the bed as a couch for now, though? It looks a little bit comfier, he admitted. Roman nodded. Sure. He proceeded to show Virgil his TV and game setup in his room. He had to explain that the system downstairs was used mainly when his cousins were here and wanted to play. The one in his room was for personal use only. His family wasn't allowed to touch that. Aw, but you are willing to share with little old me? Virgil cooed dramatically. Roman laughed. Yeah, of course, he confirmed. Want to play Mario Kart? He offered. Virgil nodded. They played a few rounds before Virgil said something that wasn't trash talking. How's the play going? He wondered. Pretty good. It's a lot of dancing, so I'm glad Remy is getting me in better shape. Still not sure about the rapping. I mean, I'm still Latino. Rhythm is in my blood. But I gotta admit, I feel a little silly sometimes. It doesn't come as natural for me as singing. I never felt weird emoting while singing, he explained while dodging in a banana peel. Well, yeah, you are a Disney prince. It's a waste of your singing voice, honestly. Kinda bummed to miss out on it for your last show at school, Virgil noted. Roman nearly drove straight into a turtle shell when he heard that. Well, uh, thanks. What else could he say? No, seriously, what was the director thinking? Virgil chuckled. Well, they needed someone who could be charismatic and still play believably dorky while failing to flirt. It's made for me, Roman countered. Fair point. If you hadn't been hiding in your nerd disguise, you would be ruling this school, man. You are rich, handsome, and once you relax, you are just. I mean, I can see that your parents are big shots, you know? That it's in your blood, too. Oh, No! Virgil exclaimed as he drove his cart right into the water. Roman snorted as he finally passed Virgil's position while he respawned. You know, you're right. I'm a born leader, he jested. I'll make you eat those words, Fernandez, Virgil growled. Sure you will. You're not allergic to shellfish, are you? Roman grinned as he dropped the shell, feeling pretty good about his chances to win now that they were in the last round. Virgil huffed. Who got Benny then? If they took their star singer with the barely singing part, he asked, as they tore through the track. Well, Benny's whole thing is that he isn't Latino, so it would have been a little weird to cast one of their few Latino actors as him, Roman pointed out. And Dorian plays Benny. He and Clara actually sound great together, he explained. Yeah, I can see Clara as Nina. She can totally pull off that sweet young thing vibe you get from her. Virgil nodded. Woman was a bit impressed by how well versed Virgil was in the play. Xander plays Daniela and Zaynab plays Clara. That won't be confusing at all. Woman chuckled. Xander is French-Italian, right? He can pull off that sass, Virgil joked. Yeah, he's giving it his all. Mrs. Vance is playing Abuela Claudia. Oliver got Sonny. Joe, Joe plays Camilla, and Billy plays Kevin, Roman listed. Wait, is Dominique Vanessa? Virgil asked. Roman nodded. An old student of Mrs. Vance is playing the Puraga guy and mentoring us. And there's an up-and-coming freshman who got beat. Not a big singing part, but he's got some presence on the stage. I remember my first freshman play. I didn't even get a speaking line back then. Roman chuckled. Now eat my dust! He grinned as he took off in a final sprint to the finish line. Ha! Come on! He declared smugly. Yeah, go ahead and pick the next track, Virgil laughed a little petulantly. I will, Roman grinned. Then he saw Virgil's thoughtful look. What's up? He asked. Is Are you nervous? I mean, past few years, Clara usually played your love interest, and in the Heights, it's very handsy compared to other productions you worked on. Is Are things going to be okay with Dominic? He asked. Roman looked back to the screen, trying to hide his expression as he wondered what brought on this question. Concern? A tinge of jealousy, maybe? Dominic and I mesh pretty well. He's a much more confident dancer than me, which fits. Things aren't awkward if that's what you're worried about. He shrugged. Is he Julian? Virgil asked, a strange mixture between blurting it out and muttering it under his breath. But Roman understood, and he couldn't help but laugh. What makes you think that? I didn't do the casting, you know, he teased. I know, it just. If he was, I think he'd say yes. So if he is, then I should probably get myself a date and stuff, Virgil explained, clearly embarrassed. Woman snorted. He's not. What do you mean he'd say yes? I saw him making eyes at you at lunch after your birthday, Virgil explained. Woman thought back on that. Oh, he was making eyes, but not at me. I was talking about my birthday outing, and he and all my friends ship it. Your friends too, from what I hear. So he was making eyes at his OTP sailing or something. Roman shrugged. Oh, was all Virgil had to say about that. Cute that you worry, though. But you should worry about yourself. I'm about to kick your butt on Riverside Park. This got Roman a wry smile. You wish, Virgil huffed. Roman put on a good fight, but Virgil did manage to just barely beat him. It went back and forth for a little while until there was a knock on the door. Will the gentleman take a break for some food? Marcia wondered. Yes, Marcia. Thank you very much, Roman bid. Thank you, ma'am, Virgil offered. Marcia smiled and put down a tray with hamburgers and fries. Don't make it too late, boys. Can't waste all of your Sunday in bed, she warned before heading out. Yes, Marcia, Roman called after her as he dipped a fry in ketchup. This looks so good, Virgil noted as he looked at the feast in front of him. It is. Go ahead, before the burgers get cold, Roman instructed. Virgil chuckled and took a bite of his burger. Mmm, I know, right? The thespian laughed. I must say I'm impressed with your knowledge on the play. I didn't expect you to be such a big musical fan, he added as he selected another fry. There was silence. Roman looked up and saw Virgil staring down at his food. I may have looked it up a little. I just I just listened to the soundtrack at first, but I got curious and he shrugged as his voice died out. You researched the play I'm in? Roman asked, a bit taken aback. Virgil nodded. You learned about the ins and outs of competitive swimming, he pointed out. That was fair, he supposed. Who's your favorite character? Roman asked, not wanting to press the why if it made Virgil feel uncomfortable. Nina. No shade to his Navy row, but she's the real main character, Virgil stated with certainty. Roman nodded. Breathe is a great song, he agreed. Not just that one, but yeah. Also, personally, I was rooting way more for her and Benny than Vanessa and his Navy. And in the movie, it was like a happy ending, but in the play, it's not clear if Kevin ever accepts Benny, which I kinda like as an ending better. Does that make sense? Roman nodded. Benny didn't need Kenny's approval. He had his own, he pointed out. Virgil nodded. Yeah, yeah, he did. And Nina's. He had Nina's approval too. That's true, Roman agreed, studying Virgil's expression, wondering in what ways he might be relating to Nina and Benny, because he clearly did. Is Julian in theater? Virgil asked all of a sudden. Why do you ask? Roman countered, making his friend crush future boyfriend roll his eyes. Because I'm trying to narrow it down. And you're a Disney prince. You need someone who's made to finish your duet. Roger sang the last beat a little clumsily, but there were some decent notes in there. It gave Roman an idea, though. He dove for his nightstand and grabbed his notebook. What are you doing? Virgil asked, confused. Writing something down before I forget, the artist rushed as he scribbled down the steps to his plan. This would blow Virgil's mind. Roman sat back down with a big grin. You look pleased. You're not going to talk, though, are you? Roman shook his head. You'll see pretty soon, though. 2 weeks? 3 tops, he promised. Just in time for your deadline, then, Virgil mused. I'd have all of spring break left, Roman pointed out with a grin. Now, enough about prom dates. Let's get back to the road, he exclaimed excitedly. Virgil finally dropped the Julian questions and they played for a bit longer. At some point, Virgil put on his playlist containing all the Broadway songs and they sang along. Virgil more softly than Roman, but they had fun. Roman was glad that they both needed to keep their eyes on the road, though. He doubted he'd have been able to keep himself from kissing Virgil if their gazes had crossed during any of the duets. At some point they changed in their onesies. Virgil's skeleton one was so cute, and continued playing, slowly settling in more and more comfortably until Virgil dropped his controller and fell asleep beside Roman. It would seem they wouldn't make it to the floor after all. Roman didn't mind too much. He turned off the TV and carefully put their controllers to the side. Then he picked up his notebook and started writing. Something special. A pep talk Virgil would need one of these days, judging by the little hints he'd picked up on throughout all of the events of the day, and a part of his big plan to ask him to prom. Next to Roman, Virgil turned around and curled up in a ball. Roman couldn't help his smile. He looked at what he'd written so far and decided that it was a good first draft. Tomorrow he could finish it up. For now, he should get some sleep. He put his notebook to the side, turned off the lights in his room, and settled in for the night. Thanks for listening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this chapter. I'll see you next week. Bye.